Everything said on the Couplings Fire podcast are our opinions, and in no way represent the opinions and values of any agency we are associated with.
Hey, this is the Couplings Fire podcast.
Here's a couple of things you might need to know, or maybe you just forgot.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Taylor.
We're married.
And we're both firefighters.
Join us as we talk anything and everything fire related.
Based out of small town, rural Nebraska, we bring our unique challenges and solutions to the table every episode.
Our goal? To better the rural volunteer firefighting community, one person at a time.
Let's get on to the episode. That button?
That button, that red record one, you got
that
it.
Button.
Hello and welcome back.
You're weird.
Somebody's got to be. You're the weird one. You're the one that everyone remembers.
Yeah, the only reason people actually remember who I am is because I'm so awkward and I can't hide it.
You're not awkward. You're funny.
See, I think I'm awkward. Everyone else thinks I'm funny, but I totally think I'm awkward.
That's why you stand out, though.
Yeah.
Because you're just not another fireman. You're the one that screwed up.
I'm always the one that screws up or says the wrong thing like crap when I first meet somebody that I looked up to for a while and like, ugh.
I like your crap.
I like your crap. Oh, yeah. Okay, shoot. Why can't I be, like, normal and professional and be like, hey, I really like the stuff you've been putting out. I've been a big fan of it for a while and think you're doing good in the world. No, I just gotta go say something about crap. I don't know. It's terrible.
That's why people remember your name, though.
See, but yeah, you are the quote-unquote perfect firefighter. You're the typical firefighter.
Why,
you are.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah. I don't get used to it.
But you have to get a bigger hat, bigger helmet.
A bigger helmet, your head's gonna grow too big?
Yep.
No, but you're the one, what everyone thinks of when they think of a firefighter. You are very dedicated, you're hardworking, you're good at what you do, and just overall your demeanor and everything fits so well. And then you get me, who just, this wasn't where...
Yeah, I fit too well, though. I fit in with everyone else that's, like, at conference.
Yes. You fit in perfectly.
I'm just another firefighter, though.
Yeah, and then there's me, who wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, and I got thrown into this world, and everyone can figure that out.
I'm jealous. I wish everyone remembered my name. That'd be cool. That's funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Well, welcome, everybody.
It's Taylor.
It's
and
Taylor.
Her husband.
And my husband.
as I'm always referred to. I love
it. You guys. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast that David Mellon over at Valor Fire Training put out, and he had Curtis James Hensley on for this one, talking to him about stuff, and they were talking about women in the fire service or going to conferences and stuff like that, and Dave mentioned, he's like, well, Taylor and her husband or whatever, and I totally thought he said Taylor and Chris.
Nope.
And he did not. So I told Chris, I'm like, you gotta hear this, they actually said our names on there, and he's like, he's quoted me in a text, he's like, Taylor and her husband. Oh.
That's why when I refer to all your friends, I'm like, hey, this is Chris, Taylor's husband, and then they know who I am. I'm known as Taylor's husband.
Yeah, but to everybody else around here or other things that you're involved in, it's always, I'm your wife, like, you know.
Yeah, but that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to conference. You know the right people.
Not on purpose. It's quite by accident. No, the way I meet people at conference or at other classes or things, as I literally don't know what else to do. Like, I had a perfect example. I went to lunch at Les Lucre Conference. I didn't have anywhere to sit. I was there all alone. And I found a table with only 3 people sitting at it, at this big round table set for like 6 or 8 or something like that. So I go sit down and say, is this seat taken? They're like, nope. I'm like, awesome. So I sit. I start talking to 3 Grand Island firefighters. It was awesome. And we're talking and I'm just having a good time. I'm like, I actually know you guys from other places. We figured that out, that how I knew at least one of them from a couple of years before. But I just talk with people and I don't know.
And they remember you. You remember
somehow. I don't know.
I think that's how we should start the podcast.
What?
This is Taylor and her husband.
And my husband.
Start signing my name as her husband.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Have we said hi yet?
I don't know. Hi.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We did say hi. Okay. Welcome.
I said hi again.
I was like, if we haven't said hi yet, it's like, oh dang, it's like 5 minutes in and we haven't said hi yet.
Yeah. Anywho, so we're flying by the seat of our pants tonight.
Yeah, this is going to go against everything I believe in.
Yeah, this is going to drive her nuts. It's going to be awesome.
We don't have anything written down.
We're just winging this one.
Completely winging it. So this is Chris's strong suit of just winging it.
I wouldn't say strong suit, but that's what I like to do.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully there's some sort of a
method to the madness.
Yes, thank you. So tonight our focus, I think, is going to try to be on the difference between the genders on the fire department, between males and females. And
I think so. It might go down some rabbit trails, but
I bet it will. But yeah, we were just kind of curious because we see things very differently, and we have different experiences with the fire department. And some of them are just us personally, and some of them we have realized are more gender related. And I'm definitely one of those people who doesn't like the separation between male and female firefighters. And don't get me wrong, I'm a part of some of those female firefighter groups on Facebook and stuff, but only because I'm actually legitimately curious about, with people who are, well, with women in general, our body types are a little bit different than men. They can be. And so I'm kind of curious maybe if they do things a different way with actually strength-wise or certain fitting gear. Like, I have a hard time finding structure gloves that fit me correctly. So I'm more in it for that kind of aspect of things. I'm not in it...
For the little tricks and tips?
The little tricks and tips. I'm in it for that. I'm not in it for having to always say that I'm a female firefighter. That's not what I want, So, yeah, I guess that's my stance on everything, as I would rather be considered, quote-unquote, one of the guys. That's what I like. I don't want to be differentiated, and I want to be able to hold my own around everybody and have everybody figure out or realize that I am one of them and not hold me to a different standard. Or, in general, have different expectations out of what I can and can't do. So... Anyways, that's just kind of my take. So before we get into this whole male versus female thing or
that's
whatever...
That's our episode, ladies and gentlemen.
I just think it's important for people to realize that I am not, I'm not one of these gung-ho gender separation things. I don't know. I think if a girl makes it to a certain spot in the firehouse, whatever, that hasn't been made before, that's awesome. But I hope she got there because she deserved it. And I hope she got there because people finally realized how much like everyone else she actually was. And deserved it just as much. So... Anyways.
So, you're saying that you don't want to be a female firefighter, quote unquote. You want to be, quote, a firefighter.
Oh yeah. Why would I, if I'm working so hard to be included, why would I want any more labels on me to be different? I mean, I'm different already for the fire service. I mean, come on.
No, you just kind of confused me with the gender separation. Didn't quite know what you meant there.
But you're not used to it. You're on the guy's side. You don't hear a lot of the girl side of the quote-unquote girl power, And it's not a bad thing. I just think sometimes that our gender takes it too far. It makes too big of a deal of it where they don't realize that, if they want gender equality, they really need equality. We need to be on the same level as the guys and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Not... celebrate so far of places we get if we deserve it. Well, you know what I mean? Not for gender's sake, but for person's sake. It's fine to celebrate, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just don't want the quote-unquote, I'm a female firefighter and I've made it in a guy's world. You just want the, I'm a firefighter and you're proud just to be a firefighter.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Definitely.
Makes sense. Anyway, that being said, that moves us into the next thing that we want to talk about. So, on the last podcast that we recorded, which this part of it got edited out, but we had a
disagreement, a little rift,
a heated argument about how we were trying to explain a small fire versus a big fire.
A fig fire?
A fig fire. I cannot talk.
A little fire versus a big fire.
A little fire versus a big fire. And this argument went along for 10 minutes.
Or longer.
And at the end of it, I said something that I probably shouldn't have, but we'll touch on that in a little bit here. But what we found out at the end of this conversation was that we were trying to tell each other the same thing.
Close enough. It was probably still a little bit different in our definitions of the big fire, little fire, but they were actually a lot closer than what we thought.
Yes.
We just couldn't say it in the same words that we both understood.
We weren't communicating it properly. We weren't telling each other the right words to make each of us understand that we were trying to say the same thing.
Yeah, because I understand things differently, way differently than what you do.
Yeah. And after we hashed it all out, and she's got a black eye now and everything, that we were trying to basically...
Maybe you don't want to say that on a podcast where they can't see my face.
Okay, she doesn't have a black eye, but you get the point. All said and done, though, we realized we were trying to communicate the same thing to each other. We just weren't using the proper terminology or words or however you want to say that to make us both realize that we are on the same track. We weren't using the right words for each other to understand it.
Yeah, and it was pretty heated for a little while last week.
It was interesting.
We don't usually get into fights like that, and we're really good at communicating. So that's very awkward for us. Very different.
Yeah. So we ended a conversation because I'm pretty sure we were agreeing, but we wouldn't have the right words in it for both of us to realize that we were agreeing.
Yeah.
So. But anywho, so there's that part of the argument, and the next part of the argument, which I said some frustrating things and kind of got both of us mad, was the fact that at the end of the conversation, I said that basically I have the experience and you don't, and so we're gonna do my idea all day long.
Mhm.
And that was not the right thing to say.
That hurt my feelings. Basically that I only know the book stuff. I've only taken the classes. I haven't been at enough structure fires or whatever, and it's basically his way or the highway kind of thing. And he didn't say exactly like that, but it's close.
It was pretty close to that.
It hurt.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I mean, like, we're fine, but we worked it out, I think. But
it was a very tense moment because we were arguing about the same things, and it was getting us very frustrated, and words came out and they weren't meant, but at the same time I realized that she's been telling me this for a couple of years now, that she doesn't get the same respect on the department that other guys get.
Mhm.
And I've always held her knowledge very close to mine. I got the experience and she's got more of the knowledge, but I kind of hold mine just a little bit higher because I do have that experience, along with a little bit of, I think you have more knowledge, technical knowledge, but I got the knowledge and the experience, and she's got a whole bunch of knowledge and a little bit of experience to go along with it. And I've always held that very high until we had that conversation. I realized that all said and done, I'm going with my experience, not the extra knowledge.
Mhm.
And that's one thing as guys that we can't fall into that pattern or that tendency to do that. It's my way or the highway, or all you have is knowledge. You're with no experience. You don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
That's one way for sure to hurt your firefighters, and one thing we cannot fall into, because knowledge is just as valuable as experience.
It's like, I understand where the experience comes in. Don't get me wrong. I really realize the difference. But at the same time, if I'm going through all of what I have with knowledge, with all these outside training opportunities and reading the books and doing online classes and whatnot, and getting these classes done, and I'm able to sit here after years and years of trying to catch up with you, Chris, and trying to catch up with what you know, and actually have a face-to-face conversation and not feel like you're talking not really down on me, but just having to talk down to me because I don't know as much. And here recently, within the last few months, I've actually been able to get up to your level finally, or at least close. And it's so nice where a lot of things we talk about, even though I don't have that experience to back it up, we end at the same conclusion. We think the same way. if I were to go do a tactic a certain way, you agree with it. Even though I don't have that experience to back it up, because I have that knowledge, because I've worked so hard to gain that knowledge.
Right. And that knowledge can be just as valuable as that experience.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I think so, but...
well, it is, because there's always newer and better ways to do things, and even if we haven't specifically experienced that, or maybe we have, but it's just a little bit different. You know, there's something that stands out to you that says, hey, we need to do this instead. Mm-hmm. There's probably going to be some hesitation, but don't ever discount that knowledge, because things are always changing, people are always learning new things.
I'm actually curious to the day that you actually hold, because eventually, with as much as I love fire behavior and I'm into it, someday I'm going to be either at the same level as you or above you in at least some areas of knowledge. I'm kind of curious how you
dreaming.
I'm kind of curious how you're going to deal with that at that point. If you're going to see that, or if you're going to still, I don't know. And you know, being you, I see you transitioning very easily, but I don't know. I'm curious. Just because I've had a lot of experience with guys here in the department. I don't know if this is a good place to get into this one or not.
We don't have any notes, remember?
Yeah. With a few practices ago, we were doing a practice, and I get it from a few different guys in the department. Specifically, I'm thinking of one or two people. And we were doing an air pack practice, and we were putting on the air packs, and they were wondering if I knew how. They were wondering if I knew how things worked, or whatever, if I was having problems with stuff. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, how many trainings have I gone to? How many times at the station here have I put it on by myself, or at practices, or whatnot? And I know this stuff probably better than this other person does. I probably actually, honestly, almost maybe done it more than this other person, but I haven't been on those actual fires like he has.
Yeah.
Like these couple people have been. And so they don't see me going to these trainings. They don't go to the trainings with me. So how are they to know what I go through and whatnot, and what I know and don't know? And it's so frustrating just to come back to these practices after going and having, let's say, an awesome weekend at a good conference or whatever, learning a ton, and like being able to just go out there and just have fun doing it and have no expectations put on me. Come back, and these people don't realize, like, I am not a beginner at this stuff, you guys. I know my stuff. We don't have the fires to help me back it up, but I know this stuff.
Yeah.
But they always see me as that other thing, you know? That pre-training.
And for any firefighters out there like Taylor, there's two sides to the coin. There's a side that Taylor sees, which is very frustrating, obviously. Mm-hmm. But don't completely get frustrated by that, because from the other guy's perspective, like me, you know, they know what I can do because I've been to the fires with them and they've seen me do it.
Yeah.
So for you, I think it's more of a trying to help out and get you better, but they just don't see it, so they don't realize that you know what you're doing. And I see it being very frustrating for you, don't get me wrong.
Well, I had a conversation actually with one of our officers. He was saying that even now, like, he doesn't expect people to know anything when he's on scene. He's turning into that micromanager, not on purpose, and he doesn't want to be a micromanager, and he said this, but he doesn't know what people know, so he doesn't want to assume that anyone knows anything, you know?
So it's a lot on, it comes down, really, I guess it comes down to a lot of training. Like, our officers just aren't seeing what our people are capable of either.
Yeah. But I think on a whole nother level, though, with just the gender thing in general, I do think that a lot of people think that girls will have a harder time with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And won't understand it, and that's not true.
Yeah. Well, guys rely on experience.
Yeah.
Typically,
yeah.
Okay.
If we haven't said this yet,
this is where we got to put in our little.
This is so far into it, we have to finally put this in.
Yeah, we have to put this in. We are not being sexist. We are not trying to stereotype anyone. This is our views. Please don't get offended by them. We're just trying to relay the most objective information to you that we can.
Oh, yeah. This is just what we've seen in our personal lives of being around, you know, our volunteer department and seeing a little bit into some others.
Yeah.
So this is just all based on that, and this is not saying every guy or every girl is like this. This is the caveat to everything coming after this is like, We're not saying that everyone's like this, but
Yeah.
we're stereotyping for the sake of making things better.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. So please don't send us hate mail.
Please don't.
Anyway, what we were saying is, guys tend to rely on experience, either their own personal experience or what they've personally seen someone else do or experienced with that person.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we tend to trust people. If I've been into a house with so-and-so as a backup guy, I know he can be a backup guy. I know he probably knows what's going on. I know he can put on a pack, that sort of deals. I've been on a hand-in-hand experience with him. I know he knows how to do that. If Joe Blow over there says, yeah, I can go cut a vent in that roof, and I've never seen him do it, I don't know if he can do it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we rely on that experience.
Yeah.
Either our own experience to judge a situation or our own experience of whether the person knows what's going on or not. Where females, what do you guys do?
Typically, from what I've seen, we are more trusting in general, I think, of what people say they can do. We expect them to be able to do it because that's how we work. We are not usually going to barrel into something head first. We are going to know we know how to do it before we go do it. We want that reassurance. So if someone tells us that they can do something, we're gonna trust them that they can do it, because that's just the way we do things in our world. So
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit different than what you had, but
No, that's a general idea, though. I mean, like, we think of things as we're not going to trust anyone until we know that they can do it 100%.
mm-hmm.
And females tend to be definitely that more trusting, you know. If you say you can do this and you say it's going to work, do it.
Yeah.
So, guys tend to be, we're getting off our argument here and more onto the brain side of male versus female now, but guys tend to have a more mechanical brain. They're very hands-on, very learn with their hands kind of people.
Yeah.
Especially guys in the fire service.
Yeah, it's a very blue-collar job.
Mm-hmm. And so guys are more bound to go through a practice and learn something physically doing it, where females tend to want to know exactly how things are working, how to do it, you know, one step by step.
Step by step, know exactly how it's supposed to be done before we go up and do it, so that way we do it correctly the first time. We don't want to go just barrel up there and fail at it. We want to be set up for success before we go do it.
Right.
So.
Guys tend to rely more on brute force, muscle.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so.
And this is both brain and a physical difference.
Okay, how many girls do you see go up to a front door and try to kick it in? And how many guys do you see go up to a front door and try to kick it in?
I don't know. I guess I haven't I don't watch a whole lot of forcible entry. That'd be awesome.
Okay, but I'm just saying, not even generally in the fire service, in like in life in general, you see people like go up to like in either movies or just I've seen people do it in real life, kick a door open. It's usually the guys, not the girls going and doing that. The girls are going to try to pick the lock or find other ways to do things. The guys are going to go try to kick it down.
How cool would that be, though, to see a girl up there just go up there and freaking donkey kick a door? And
I bet there's plenty of girls up there who can do it.
Yeah, guys tend to rely on a lot of brute force. Even when we get out tools, trying to get into places we either shouldn't be or just really hard to get in, we're going to stick a tool in there and we're going to freaking get our way in.
Yeah.
Where females are more analytical, they're going to go through the problem solving of it, you know, like, if I can't get in here, maybe we can get in here easier, or maybe we can get through this space faster or something.
Oh, I definitely agree with that.
Anything to add to that?
Well, well, like, one thing I've noticed on scene, so girls in general tend to have to think out of the box of how we have to do things anyways.
Physical limitations.
With physical limitations. We have to do things differently than guys a lot of the times. Not saying a lot of girls can't have upper body strength. I'm not saying anything against that. But we're made differently than the guys, and we don't always have that. And so we have to learn how to use our bodies differently because they were made differently. We were made to carry children and stuff, so even the lower halves of our bodies are built differently than guys. So learning that we have to think out of the box on how to do things, and so I think we're already trained in our brains to do that day to day. Not even on the fire scene, but day to day. So we get on the fire scene, of course we're thinking about that when we do our normal firefighter duties. And then when a problem arises, we're already thinking outside of the box to do our normal duties. So it's going to be way easier for us to think out of the box for situations of, like, something that needs to be done. Like, there was one specific time where they wanted to cover up a hole that or a window that I don't think they ended up breaking it. I think it broke out on its own. But they wanted to cover it up. They were trying to find a piece of plywood around there, couldn't find anything. I'm like, well, why don't we just take a tarp out of the truck and put duct tape around the window? And it's like, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be better than nothing. It's going to get the job done from what they want, you know? And they were so set in their ways on finding a piece of plywood because only boarding it up would do the job. And I'm like, no. You guys got to think outside the box of something else to use. And it was one of those things that came so instantly to me. And it kind of shocked the other guys that I said anything about it because they were so stuck on this plywood idea. Just because that was the way you close up a window in the real world. Experience is with plywood, and they couldn't find any plywood. So, I don't know. I think that's different from guys. Not saying guys can't think out of the box. They can. But I think girls are more used to doing it day to day anyways. That we're already prepared to do it again already.
Yeah, especially if there's any females that are already in a physical career or just a physical world, I guess.
Yeah.
Used to that physical work when you work on a farm or whatever. They definitely think that way.
Yeah.
So you got to do things that you may not be able to physically do, so you're going to find better ways to do them.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
My dad taught me that growing up.
Yeah, he taught me that growing up too. All right, so that covers kind of, I think, most of the brain stuff. I mean, I don't know, there's probably some more that we might get into later. I don't know. We'll see. We're kind of writing notes as we go, so next big difference.
So how about we go about talking maybe how we handle the different tools or jobs on the fireground differently?
Yeah, because you definitely handle a Halligan a lot different than I do.
Yeah, it's heavy.
8 pounds. 8 pounds.
Okay, it's still heavy to me. Okay, just saying. I work an office job. If these people have been paying attention at all, I work an office job and take sports pictures. Yeah, my camera's pretty dang heavy, and shoot, it was hilarious. I gave my camera over to a friend a couple weekends ago. She just had a baby. She's like, "This is heavier than my baby." It was great. Anyways, so I'm not used to doing a lot of that manual labor and stuff like that, and so, like, I had to find different ways to do things. And it's not just me. I've seen all over in these female firefighter groups on Facebook, them doing things a little bit differently. Either getting ladders out of the back of the trucks a little differently, from carrying the ladders and setting them up, from using the Halligans a little bit differently. I don't know if necessarily we use them very much differently. I think we carry them differently, but...
Yeah. Well, I know, like, for instance, like, swinging an axe for you is a lot harder to swing an axe for you than it is for me.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to change your hand position.
Hand positions and the whole stance of my body to do that compared to what you would do.
Right.
Let's see. Moving the hose line.
Yeah, as I say, moving a hose line is a big one for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, our department hasn't gone to the
I don't know
pinch.
what it's called. Is that what it's called?
I guess that's what I call it, where that hose sits underneath your ankle, and you kind of tripod it, and then when you want to stop in a spot, your ankle kind of pinches it to the floor.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our fire department still does the crawl on all fours.
Yeah.
And it's not the best thing in the world. Not something I've gotten to change yet, but.
But I know I have such a hard time doing even just the regular crawl or even the regular advancing. Just having it up on my hip or whatever. It's so difficult. I have tiny hands. So it's hard for me to grip that 1.5 or 1 3/4, whatever you want to call it. I know there's difference. I know there's 2 different ones, but whatever.
Well, going back to the just moving the hand line.
Yeah.
Like if you're the nozzle person.
Yeah.
like, you can't do that on all four, but we found out that you can do the pinch method.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I have a hard time doing it on all four, and I have a hard time doing it attached to my hip and doing it tripoding it that way, because that's another way to do it.
Yeah.
But the way I can do it very, very easily is doing that pinch method.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. I have a lot easier time doing it because it's not my upper body doing the work then. It's my legs. My legs are doing the brunt of the work. And for me, that's the way my body's set up anyways, because I don't have that upper body strength, but I have a decent amount of lower body strength. So I'm able to hold up that way, and it works so easy. So that for me is very different. And granted, a lot of people like that way compared to.
Even the guys really like that.
Yeah,
method.
but for me being a girl, it's that much of a difference because of the way my body is set up.
Yeah.
It works so much easier. And then even holding the hose, my hands are so much smaller, so it's tough. So like if you guys listen to the first episode, I used my snagger tool a lot. Not necessarily always inside, and especially if I use that pinch, I won't necessarily need it. But if I'm on the outside or if I'm helping to back up or somebody else or who knows what, I'm going to use that snagger tool a lot because I have a hard time gripping that hose because my hands are small. And most guys' hands are pretty dang big.
Yep.
So to them, it's nothing to hold an inch and 3/4 hose. To me, my hand can't even fit around it very easily.
Yeah, not to mention get a grip on it.
Exactly. And then try to even talk about 2.5 getting a grip on that. That's not happening. Like, it's going to take a lot of work. So it's like basically the equivalent of a girl palming a basketball, not even just a women's basketball, but imagine a man gripping a men's basketball is one thing, right? Imagine a woman gripping a man's basketball. It's a bigger diameter than the woman's, It's basically everything in the fire service is set up towards a guy, which I don't have a problem with. It's just something we have to work towards and figure out ways to make it work because it's not made for our types of bodies, for our smaller hands, for things like that.
It's made to fight a fire. It's not made for genders.
Yeah.
But that's something that's different because there's tools out there now that help female firefighters handle a hose, even male firefighters.
I don't even know if they... I highly doubt they... so Modus Fire is the one that made that snagger tool, and I highly doubt they made that for that reason. But they made it in general for firefighters to easier handle the hose.
Yeah. As I say, it's not made, and I don't even think they advertise it as a tool for female firefighters. It's just a tool for firefighters.
Yeah.
And I know.
And I told them, I commented once, it's like, this has made a big difference for me. It is such a big difference for me.
It's a huge difference. I've used your snagger before, and I've used my bow ring before on hoses to make it easier to advance.
Yeah.
And it's not just made for female firefighters. It's not a handicap for female firefighters, or a crutch, I guess, for female firefighters. It's just something that's made for firefighters to make the job easier. And for female firefighters out there that have smaller hands, it's a great tool. Mm-hmm. And I think you should use it.
Oh, yeah. I've used a lot of different trainings and stuff for different things. And I brought it out at Les Luker conference for bailing out of a second-story window on a hose line. And I brought it up to Jake Hoffman, who's head of the Squad 5 fire training. And I was like, would this help? And he's like, I don't know, go try it. And it helped a lot because my hands weren't able to necessarily grip the side of the window because my fingers are so... I don't have a lot of strength in my fingers. But I was able to grip my whole hand around that snagger tool and have that snagger do most of the work of gripping onto that windowsill to do the bailout. It worked great.
Yeah. So. That's a prime difference between male and female firefighters. Us guys, we're probably not going to have a problem with that.
Yeah.
You got some female firefighters on your department, something to suggest. Mm-hmm. They make a whole bunch of innovative tools out there now, and they're not specifically designed. Most of them aren't designed for female specific.
Yeah.
They're just designed to make the job easier. And so if you have a female firefighter in your department there, don't be afraid to say, hey, maybe we should look at some of these tools, or maybe we could get one of these for a few people. Don't single out that individual per se, but if you feel like that would make that job easier for that female firefighter, go for it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just a difference. It's going to happen, and as a volunteer service, you definitely don't want to turn anyone down, especially if your roster's not full.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely don't want to bring it to, females are changing everything and that females have to have specific things, but I do want to touch on one more point, just because I think it is very important. The gear considerations for females versus males on the fire service. Just because I think it's a huge issue. And it sucks. Let me tell you straight out, it sucks. When I go to fire school and everybody else has boots that they can try on, and they have nothing even close to my size that I can try on. I understand they're not getting a lot of females. I do. But more and more females, at least in Nebraska, are getting into the volunteer service. You would think that some of those retailers would start to bring smaller sizes with them. You know, not a ton of stock. Don't plan to sell any. But at least have something they can try on to get the right size, dang it. That's not that hard to pack that amount of checks, sure. I'm sorry. I won't go into that too far, but like... So the boot thing is tough, because it happened to me several years in a row, trying to get new size of fire boots. Because I was wearing some that were 2 sizes too big for a while, and it sucked. I feel like I'm just going to go on a rant, but it's just, I don't mean to go on...
You're already on a
Sorry.
rant.
I feel like this needs to get out there in case people don't understand what's going on. Gloves, structured gloves specifically, but extrication too. It's really hard to find gloves that fit my hand right, and it's annoying. And I understand most firefighters are guys, and so why would they be making gloves that would fit a female's hand? My fingers tend to be longer in proportion to my palm than most guys', from what I've been able to kind of figure out, I think. Every glove I've had, the glove is way too big in the actual palm of it, so then it ends up pushing my fingers way too far, and anything that I find fits my fingers, then the actual palm is way too small.
The glove's way too tight.
Yeah, it's weird. So I can't find anything that actually fits my hands right, and it gets annoying when I'm trying to do more intricate work in my structured gloves, because it seems like guys have a lot easier time because their gloves actually fit them like they should. They fit them like a glove, like, you know. It fits so much cleaner.
I see what you did there.
And I've heard a couple times on some of the female sites of other people having this problem, but no one really has an answer. And I don't think it's very easy to get custom gloves made. Otherwise, I would have already.
So if you have an answer to that, please let us know.
Please let me know, because it's something I've been thinking about for years. One last thing I'll think about on turnout gear, and I'll be done, is the actual, like, turnouts themselves, the actual bunker gear. What I have right now, we didn't have female sizes, or female turnouts to try on when we got new gear this last round. Which is fine, overall, but something I found while I'm working in my gear, my hips are pretty wide. I'm a girl. Doesn't really matter much for the pants, but for the jacket, for the way they needed to size it to make it the whole ensemble work, my jacket comes too low, doesn't account for my hips and for the stretch of my legs coming out. And so it's been interesting to kind of deal with that overall.
And they do make a female cut.
They do, but they didn't bring it with them.
Right.
They almost never do.
Right.
They do. And I don't know the differences to it too much, but they do make a female cut to a lot of these different retailers. They do make them. But there's so few and far between of people actually ordering it that the
sales rep
doesn't bring any with them. And so you can order it if you want, but if it doesn't fit, it's kind of your fault.
Yeah. So if you're an officer in charge of getting gear for people or whatever, definitely a high consideration. Or if you're a female firefighter out there, either investing in your own or your department's getting it here soon, just be aware that there is a female version of bunker gear.
Yeah, and I know there's different, like I said, the ways they're cut are a little bit different. They're fit more to our bodies. I'm sorry, girls have boobs. We have hips. It's different than fitting a guy overall. So I wish I would have known more when we fit before, because I would have went ahead and told the sales rep earlier, or somehow gotten a hold of them and say, hey, bring the female fitting with you. Figure out how to get it here because I want to try it on. I don't want to go off of the hope, because if it doesn't fit, then it's my fault. shoot, why would anyone do that?
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot of money to spend. Okay, getting off of that subject. I just thought that was important to touch on. But
yeah, no, and I agree with you. So there's definitely a difference consideration there. So, and it is because the fire service is mainly based around guys, but
but women are starting to come up more and more with it.
So if you are a female firefighter out there, just be aware of those considerations, and if you're a male firefighter out there, be aware of those if you are in charge of wearing gear or whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh, we got deep. We're gonna get back high again.
Sorry. You got all ranty on.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get all ranty. It needs to be known.
It does. You're right. So, all right. I think one last thing that I wrote down here, one last topic, I guess, to be considered anyway, is male and female. This kind of goes back to the brain. We have different perspectives on things.
Yes.
You said that like a question.
Because I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm not quite sure where I'm going with this either. The training ideas.
Okay.
So if I had a training idea and I wanted to do it a very specific way, because that's what my brain told me how to do it, more times than not, I could talk to you about it and you'd come up with a different solution from it because your brain sees a different perspective on it. Well, we can accomplish the same thing, but we're going to do it this way.
Well, I think this came up a couple times before, at least once before, in kind of our in-house trainings, of just how some of the things we came up with, I actually came up with quite a few of them. Maybe not necessarily the ones we always talked about, or not the ones we necessarily talked about on that, but I came up with quite a few of the ideas on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and you would fit it into how to actually make it work in our department.
Right.
Just because I think I had more of that creative brain behind everything. The different way of seeing things. I'm not the traditional, let's go do hard work and get it done. I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong. And I will do that for training quite a bit. But I like having that different type of stuff or different way of doing things. Or everyone says you can't train on this and you can't train on this and you can't train on this because there's no way to train on it. Yeah, there is. I'm gonna find out a way. I'm gonna figure out a way because I want to train on it so bad. And so that's kind of where my brain goes, is since I want to train on it so bad because I'm a girl and I want to know things before I barrel in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a way to train on it.
So I'm gonna generalize things again and get in trouble. Guys in the fire service, we took a test Billy Greenwood did a test. I don't remember what the test was called.
I don't remember either. It had 4 colors, red, yellow, green, and blue. He had it in his generational gap, bridging the generational gap class. But I can't remember what the test was.
Yeah, it's an actual, personality test.
Yeah, we'll have to look that up and get back to you guys on that. But yeah.
It's a personality test. And in general here, firefighters tend to be more of a red color, red and yellow. Which is very much a gung-ho, you get there, you do what you gotta do, and you don't ask questions, and you're on top of it, you're on the ball.
You are very sure of yourself, you're very confident, you're gung-ho, you're like, yeah, let's get it done, like, you want to show off, you're that kind of mindset.
Right. And I don't know very many I don't know any besides you that took that test, female firefighters.
There are a few of us in that room.
I'm sure, but I didn't talk to them. I don't know them. I'm gonna try to do better about talking to females after this, firefighters. But
well, okay. In your defense, there's not a lot around us.
You're right.
And there's even when we go to trainings, there's not that many there.
Well, and I don't want you to get jealous. That's all. Anyway, in general, I feel like your females that are in the fire service are more likely to have more of that blue color, which is the creativity.
Yes and no. I saw some. I was the one who stuck out with the blue like crazy with that creativity and stuff. I was the blue like crazy. I almost had no red, which to me is not surprising. But some of the other girls, there was another girl in there. She had quite a bit of yellow and quite a bit of red. But I do think overall, the more chance to have blue probably does lie with the females.
Yeah. And I'm not saying guys can't have it because I didn't have a ton of it, but I did have some blue in mine.
Yeah, but we looked in that room after we took this, and I was one of the only ones with the high blue color, with a high blue count. Like, everybody else...
It was on the lower spectrum.
It was on the lower spectrum, and I'm kind of like the standalone in the class with, like, this blue, and I'm like, dang.
Yeah, this is weird, but... anyway, those blue people, if you get on there and take that test and you find out you're blue or whatever, the creative people are what you're looking for. And where I was going with this is, in general, firefighters tend to be more of that red and yellow, which is, that's firefighters. And your creative side, I feel like in this fire service is going to lean towards your female people. I'm stereotyping here.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to use them for training because they can give you a very different perspective on things.
Well, if you talk to Billy Greenwood, he first of all says during that whole class that you do want a good mix of those colors, you know, of people in the fire service because they all serve different purposes. And as you move through your career, honestly, and the reason the colors come up is because that's what you revert to when you have to make a split-second decision. Basically, you revert to those colors. You can use any color you want, and everyone's a little bit of each color, but you revert to your main one when you need to make a quick decision, or whatever. And so that's kind of where that big color comes in. But if, you know, going along your fire service career, you want to even out those colors as much as possible, so that way when you get to those split-second decisions, you can grab from where it makes sense.
Right.
So.
But, what were we? Different training ideas. Yeah. They'll bring a different. Your female firefighters will probably bring a different perspective than what all your guy firefighters will bring.
Yeah.
And so, just know that they think differently too. Even on scene, like we mentioned before, the
window.
The window, trying to cover up that window. Taylor had a completely different idea than the rest of the guys had, and it's just. That's a personality trait. It's not specifically male versus female, but I think in the fire service, you're more likely to get that creative side with the females.
I kind of agree with that.
But.
So, I think another way we really differ in personalities is just, and this is generalizing, but this is a lot of like the station jokes that happen. And not saying girls can't be crude, because they definitely can be. I know plenty of girls who are, but. You know, the things that guys always find funny, I don't necessarily find as entertaining, and I would like more heartiness to my jokes rather than the...
I think that's more of a maturity thing.
So isn't that kind of generally...
Yeah, girls are way more mature than guys, so...
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a quick little difference, a little funny difference at the end there, but...
the other big difference that comes to mind, and this is just with our other female firefighters here, is... Girls tend to be a little more emotional about things than guys.
I do not disagree with you.
And I think most of you guys probably know that, and it's an obvious, but if you didn't know that, girls tend to be more emotional. And what that means to you is you might have to approach them differently.
Yeah.
Given a certain situation or a problem that needs fixed or something like that, just kind of be aware that they are more emotional, and you might have to approach them differently to create that same outcome as you would for one of the guys.
Yes. I think this reverts back to me, it references back to something I really got honed in on with the last conference I went to, of treat people how they want to be treated in a situation, not how you would want to be treated in their situation. And so when you're talking to a female firefighter or any firefighter who is more emotional, you're going to be talking to them in their shoes. So you can't think of, like, if I'm in their shoes, this is what I want to be told. No. You got to think about, okay, this is what this person's gone through. This is how they react to things. If you're in their shoes, how would you want to be talked to? And that's kind of where it goes for me. But
yep.
I'm very analytical with the way I think about things. So, but I do have to say, guys, don't expect all the girls to be emotional. Or, like, a lot of girls are, but there's some spectrum to it.
Yeah. If you get a female in the fire service, they may not be as emotional as your typical woman.
Yeah. Case in point.
They might be more hardy and might catch you off guard. You never know. So, but I think we'll end on something that is the same between you and I, at least. I think it's probably the same between most firefighters. and I'll let you answer the question.
Okay.
And then I will either agree or disagree with you. Well, obviously we got to agree. I already said we agree on it. So what motivates you as a female firefighter?
As a female firefighter, I want to prove myself and I want to impress people overall. That's kind of what I strive for. I want to prove to myself that I can do things, but I want to prove to everybody else I can do things, and I want to impress people with what I know and that I can do this job.
I would agree with that, because that is my motivation, is to, not only prove to myself that I am able to do a certain job or get through a certain challenge, but at the end of that call, I'm looking for you did a good job from my officers, from my senior firefighters. Hey, you did a good job,
Mm-hmm.
That's what motivates me. I want to be that guy. So.
I think a lot of times you hear a lot of females talk about that, or people talk about female firefighters they think that the females are the only ones trying to prove themselves, trying to impress people, trying to get that.
I think the guys want to hear it too, though.
They do, but no one ever talks about it.
Yeah, because at least in our department, we still have the old mentality that if you do your job, then you shouldn't need a thank you because you're doing your job. But everyone looks to impress people.
Yes, and it makes everyone feel good, which in turn makes people work harder for your department. So, yeah.
Yep.
Just keep the cycle going.
So, I think we'll end it at that. This has been enough of a little bit of a rant. So
yeah.
I don't know. It was too much of a rant, but long enough conversation. I think. I think we'll find out. So.
Very different from not having a full game plan to go with.
Yeah. We'll come with the game plan next time. I think it works better.
Yeah? You like that better?
I don't know.
Did I prove you right? Am I right? Wife is always
I will
right.
never admit to anything. Just for the record. Anyway, thanks for joining us again, guys. I think in the future here, eventually, we will try to get some interviews with some different people and keep giving you guys more content to listen to. And
yeah, you never really know what we're going to talk about each week. We don't even know what we're going to talk about time
we do talk about a lot of training, though.
We do talk about a lot of training, but that's where our passions really lie. We're going to try to get some different things on here. That was one of the points of this one, to get you guys something a little different that you don't hear a lot of. We're going to try to get into public relations at some point. We're going to try to get into marriage talk at some point.
I don't know when we're going to do that.
I don't know when we're going to do that either. We're going to do more training, more calls we've been on, more whatever comes to our brain, honestly.
Yeah. We do go back to training a lot, though, because that's where a lot of our knowledge exists, because we've done a lot of that here.
Well, that's just where my passion lies, because
definitely.
That's where I get my experiences from the training. So of course I'm going to be so passionate about that.
And I love training people, so that's definitely where my passion lies for sure.
If you guys have any requests for episodes, please go ahead and either email us at couplingsfirepodcast@gmail.com, find us on Facebook and Instagram, send us those requests for episodes or questions that you have, whatever it may be. I can't guarantee we'll get to it at any certain point, but we will try to make a list of things and maybe make episodes on them or whatnot. But
you interrupted me.
I'm sorry. I do that a lot. I don't mean to. I love you.
Yeah, whatever. Such a woman.
Do you want to continue?
I don't even remember what I was saying now.
I don't know.
Oh, training, because that's where our passion lies. But also that's where our experience lies. And like we previously talked about, I'm a guy and I rely on my experience.
Oh, okay.
It's just referring back to the episode. Anyway.
I just got too excited. It was like what we talked about at the very beginning of the podcast. I got too excited. I didn't know what to say, so I started just blurting crap out.
Yeah, you did.
Perfect way to end this thing. Right where it started.
Exactly. Hope you guys have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, I did it again. Thank you for joining us. Anything more to add?
No, you're just going to interrupt me anyway.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
Be sure to leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening to us.
Find us on Facebook and Instagram @CouplingsFire Podcast.
See you next time.